Hello my lovelies, today I am doing a declutter of my makeup collection and I think it's going to be kind of quick because if you've been following my makeup journey the past year, I have a very minimal makeup collection at this point. I'm gonna show you the drawer here in a second. I just want to say one thing that has been so amazing for me the past year. I have not spent any time tidying this drawer or organizing it or cleaning it whatsoever, so yes, it does look quite messy, but it's still not so messy that I can't actually like see all the products and use it. It's just not very pleasing, but it's just been such a change from previously because I used to have dressers of makeup and I could spend an entire day just going through, decluttering, cleaning, organizing, putting everything so it looked nice and so I could actually see things, so I could use them, and then I felt like within weeks it would start to kind of get cluttered and I just felt like I had to organize it again. I spent so much time organizing my makeup when it was just sitting there and going bad essentially. So it's been really amazing for me that I just have things so contained into this little drawer that I don't actually have to waste so much time trying to control all the things. So I have some matcha with me. I can't really like wake up today. I don't know really what it is. I've been quite ill for a couple of weeks, just like not feeling my best, and I think I'm back, but it's just, you know, it just takes a long, like the last 5% to become truly yourself again. It's just, it takes a long time. I'm just like in a sleepy mode at the moment. But let me show you the drawer. You can see it's really messy. I will sort that out. And you can see I've put dates on the products here, so it should be easy to see when they're open so I can know if they're expired or not. It's not the nicest to look at, but as you can see I can still find everything. Hopefully it will look a lot nicer after this. So I think this would be all of the face products. It's actually quite a lot when I see it like this. It doesn't feel like I have that much, but still when you put everything in a pile, you can really see it. I am going to start with the primers first. So this is the Fenty Beauty primer. This is the Soft Silk hydrating primer, and this one is actually one that is over a year old because I had it in my previous declutter and I kept this because it came in a pump, so it was sanitary and I could keep it. And this one expires after 12 months, so it definitely is too old at this point. I don't know if you can see, but I've only used about like this much of it, so I have this much left, and I can probably count on one hand how many times I've used this over the past year. I just don't really love it. I feel like it's an extra step that doesn't do anything other than, I don't know, wipe away the sunscreen for me. The only thing I actually have used this for is to blend it with this Kevyn Aucoin. It's like a concealer foundation thing, and when I mix these two together, it's like a nice foundation base that's much lighter than using this on its own. But I really don't even do that much. I tend to just use this. So this is obviously just taking up space. It's too old, so I am getting rid of this. This is a Milk Makeup Eye Primer. I am sorry if you can hear that noise. They are cleaning the roads of snow at the moment, so I'm really sorry if you can hear that. This one I bought last year and I feel like it was kind of new back then. I had never tried it before and I like their face primer so much. I thought the eye primer has to be good. I don't really like this. It feels really hydrating. Probably makes my eyeshadow a little bit more vibrant, but it doesn't make it last any longer. It says 12 months, so this is due to go anyways. And it also has this doe foot applicator, so I always have to kind of put this onto a palette first before putting that onto my eye, otherwise it would just get so dirty very quickly. So I am definitely not repurchasing this. Next I have this little sample. I've gotten a couple of these just freebies of the Milk Hydro Grip Primer, and this one I do really like. I don't know how long this is supposed to last. I would guess 12 months. It doesn't really say on this. I will be keeping this and I probably should buy a large version of it. Let's do foundation next. I have this Fenty Beauty Ease Drop blurring skin tint. When I remember, I put these little stickers on so I can see when I opened it. So this was in June of this year. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with it. I think it looks quite good on the skin, but sometimes my skin reacts to it. I do have quite sensitive skin, so it will take me a while to get through. I've obviously had this for about half a year now, and there is a lot left, but I am keeping that. Something I still use. And this one is also a repurchase. I like to buy things that I know work, and this one I got this fall, so it's still pretty new. I just can't get enough of this foundation. I'm obviously keeping it. So I have both of these two foundations. I feel like it's fine to have two. They do serve different purposes, but I definitely don't need to buy any more because I can't get through it in 12 months. Then I have this one, the Bye Bye Under Eye Concealer, and this I think I also kept in my previous declutter. Again, another product I think I've used less than 5 times. I just don't really, it's too light for me, so it doesn't really work, and I never should have kept it. It does actually say 24 months before this expires. It's not expired yet, but I'm definitely not going to use it. It just takes up space, and I always regret it when I've grabbed this and it's too light. So we're getting rid of that. And this is just like a sample of an It Cosmetics CC cream. I don't know why I kept this. This does not look like my shade. Have I even used this? Oh, this is way too dark. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not even sure how this ended up in my makeup drawer. See, even when you're not trying, things just accumulate. So getting rid of that. I have 2 highlighters, as you can see. This one really hurts. This is the Dior Backstage Glow product thing. I've bought I think 2 or 3 of these. Can you see? It's so separated. Somebody commented on my review video of this that they don't make it anymore, which is so sad. It's just such a beautiful product, but this one is also at expiration at this point. You can see it's kind of a little bit separated and it's just not really the happiest anymore, so I will be getting rid of this. The other highlighter, and the one I've been using the most, is this Armani Fluid Sheer Glow Enhancer. I really like this one a lot. I think it's really beautiful, and it just gives a really kind of cool, beautiful highlight that is quite subtle, not too over the top or anything, and a little bit goes a very long way. There is definitely still a decent chunk left. This one does say that it expires after 12 months. I want to say the product still looks so like fluid. It has not separated whatsoever. It looks really, really good. You can see it just gives that very subtle, beautiful glow. Nothing too over the top. It's definitely not really buildable, so I do sometimes miss something that is a little bit more. Because it comes in this pump function, I think I will keep it for a little bit longer, even though it does say 12 months, so I probably should get rid of it at this point. But the pump means that I'm not dipping into the actual product, so it should be sanitary, and because it still functions so well, I will be keeping it until I probably finish this. Well, I have 1 concealer and 1 corrector, and this is an area where I haven't really been that happy with my makeup, even though I really love this, the Kevyn Aucoin Essential Skin Enhancer. It's very full coverage, and I can mix it into my foundations if I want the foundations to be a little bit more high coverage. It's just too heavy to have as the only concealer. There is so much left in this pot. I were not to follow the rules of when this expires, I could probably use this for years and years, just because it takes me so long. You just need a tiny, tiny bit. This expires after 18 months, so I still have a little bit of use left in it. I will have to kind of accept that this does expire way before I would ever be able to finish this product. I have already ordered another concealer that is a little bit lighter, because I need something that is a little bit easier to use underneath the eyes, and just something that isn't quite as heavy and full coverage. Next, I have this Bobbi Brown corrector. It's a really, really nice color, I think, but even here you can see there is a lot left. Because it is a color corrector, it's not something I use a ton of. It's not something I use every single time I do my makeup. Sometimes I just can't be bothered to spend the extra time to color correct. So it doesn't really say on the product when it expires. I'm gonna put this to the side and see if I can find an expiration date, because I don't want to get rid of it yet if I don't have to, because it's something I'm probably just gonna repurchase if I'm being honest. Then I have two powders, and this one is just an empty Charlotte Tilbury like compact. So I have this Fenty powder. I really actually quite like this one. It's in the shade 2 Butter, and it just has a little bit of color, so to me it looks quite yellow, but it's pretty translucent. I really like it. It's just so soft, but it does expire after 12 months, so I have to get rid of it. It's kind of a shame because I think there's about 75% left in this. I have noticed that I don't want to kind of, I was gonna say live, but that's a little bit dramatic, but I just meant to say I don't really want to be without a pressed powder either, because I really need something I can take in my handbag. I do like loose powder as well. I might need to get both a new loose powder and also a powder compact. I just don't really love trying to get by with one or the other, because I tend to go through my pressed powders so quickly. As you can see, the loose powders just last and last and last, and the pressed powders are much more functional for like being a handbag type of product. So I probably need both. So these are the products I am keeping. Also this one and this one if I can figure out the expiration date of it. So not a ton really. And here are the products that I will be getting rid of. So I'm actually getting rid of more than I am keeping. Okay, let's do brow things. This is just empty. I don't know why this is in here. I've obviously had to go through quite a few of these brow pencils. I get the NYX ones, and then I have just gotten lazy and not gotten rid of like all the old ones every single time. But this one is fairly new, so I am going to keep this. I've also gone through a couple of these Benefit 24-hour brow setters. Really good, so I've already bought a new one of these. And then I have the Dip Brow from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and as you can see I haven't even kind of like touched the entire top of the pomade here. I have never in my life gone through any of these. I tend to feel like they do dry out at some point, and at that point I just have to get rid of them. Like, they just don't really work that well anymore. And this one does say that the expiration date is 6 months from the time you open it, so you can see that little jar with the lid. And in my experience I probably feel like that is when they start to go a little bit like dry and gunky anyways. We are just gonna keep going, and more like empty packaging. I have this toxic trait of whenever I open a new product I just toss the packaging into the drawer instead of into the bin, so that's not great. Okay, is this it? Is this it? Okay, I really don't have a lot of eye makeup anymore. So I've been using this mascara. I tend to get rid of my mascaras every 2 to 3 months because I have really sensitive eyes, and I often use like separate mascara ones like these anyways, just to kind of make them last a little bit longer without getting really irritated eyes. But I also buy a lot of just the small, like the mini sizes, because I don't keep them long enough to get through them anyways. This one is really nice. I kind of want to repurchase it, but I do have more mascaras that I haven't even opened yet, so I need to get through all of those first. And then I have this. I have bought a couple of these. It's the KVD Beauty Tattoo Liner, and this one as well does tend to dry out, but I keep repurchasing it because the tip is just so beautiful. It just gives the sharpest wing, and it's just so easy to use. So I go through a couple of these, but I think this one has started to dry out. I don't actually even know if this one has expired yet, but I've gotten a little bit annoyed the last couple of times I've been using it, so I think it's about time that I get rid of this one. I think this is the only pencil liner that I have. It's from MAC. It's in the shade Teddy. As you can see, I've definitely not finished it. I tend to use a lot of eyeshadow just instead of these, but it's really nice to have. It's still kind of blends really easily, so it's not dried out yet. I just can't remember if this is 12 months, 18 or 24, so I'm just gonna have a check on that to see how long it's lasting. I'm gonna put this to the side as well, but as you can see, I could never justify having more than one pencil liner. It's still like so long after a year. Then I have a MAC pigment, and I think this was something I kept from my previous declutter. The only thing I tend to really use this for is that I mix it in with my body lotion and I get kind of like a nice, very quick temporary tan effect. I don't think I've actually used it a single time since my previous declutter, just because I've been using the Dior product, this one, instead. So it's getting really old and I'm obviously not using it, so I think this can safely go. I have one paint pot, like a cream eyeshadow, and as you can see, I have not used a ton of it, just again because it just lasts so long and there is no way I can ever finish. I have never gone through a single one of these. They look small, but there is so much product in here. I don't know if you can see kind of around the edges here. It started to separate from the packaging a little bit. It started to dry out slightly. It's a little bit sort of more tacky. It's not as smooth. It's still sort of usable, but it's just not as enjoyable anymore because it's not as smooth and as easy to blend. So I think it's time that I let this one go as well. And then I just have a MAC eyeliner. As you can see, this is barely used. This sat in my drawer unused for the longest time, and then once my latest one of these tattoo liquid liners started to act up, I went in and I have used this a couple of times. So this one I have just opened, so I will be keeping this. I have two eyeshadow palettes that I bought last year. I've talked about this before. I used to have a lot of them and now I feel like I can't even get through the two that I have. So I have the Soft Glam 2. It's the only Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palette I've ever used. It's really convenient for travel because it's so small and it has just like basic neutrals. As you can see, I've been using like these the most, the shimmers. I have touched on every single eyeshadow here and I do actually use all of them, so I think that's pretty good. I will be keeping this for sure. I think it has an expiration date of 24 months, so I have another year of using this. I'm not sure if I will hit pan on any of these. Who knows? There is definitely a lot left. And then I have been using this one a lot more. It's a little bit dirty, I'm gonna have to clean that. This is the Natasha Denona Biba palette. I love this thing, but I have not hit pan on any of these either. I have used, I think, every single eyeshadow in here. Some of them I definitely use more than others. So a lot of these sort of midtones and this rayon I've been using a lot. And I've also used this black one a lot as kind of like a very matte, soft way to do an eyeliner. It's a very good palette. I wish it had one eyeshadow that was like properly light, because like both this and this, even as shimmer eyeshadows, I don't get that kind of like pop. Like it still doesn't highlight because it's still darker than my skin tone. So I really wish it had something that was like nearly white, because that way I could get something that was a proper like highlight. That is kind of the only thing I'm really missing in this eyeshadow palette. Otherwise I do really enjoy it. But I think maybe if I had a powder highlight product, that could be a solution, so I could use it both on my cheeks and on my eyes. I think that might be a solution here. Obviously I'm keeping these 3 products here, and then we are getting rid of these 4. But I will open a new mascara. Last year I bought these 2 cheek products. I bought this KVD Beauty blush, and this is the only powder blush, the only blush I do have, and I just really like this shade because it's not really doing a lot whatsoever. It's so sheer, it's really light, and I just feel like it's so foolproof. It just blends in so beautifully, so I really like this one. I have used it a fair bit, but it's far from hitting pan yet, so I'm gonna keep this one. And then this is my only bronzer product, and I definitely have been gravitating more towards using bronzer instead of blush, and because this is a cream product, I have kind of found that it clashes a little bit. I either have to decide to use this bronzer or this blush, because I can apply powder over this and then the powder blush, but it's not how I enjoy doing my makeup. So I have been using this, and then as a blush I have been using one of my lipsticks to get a little bit more color than just a bronzer, but I definitely have been using this a lot more than the blush. I might have to either get both a powder and a cream version of a product, or I have to stick with one because it's a little bit, I don't know, not the best. But as you can see, this is probably my most used product throughout this year, because as you can see with a lot of these products, I am so far from finishing them, and I have been using only that product for a year and it's still nowhere near hitting pan. And this one does expire after 12 months, so I think it's a good, it's nice to see that I can have one bronzer and it will last me the time it's supposed to, and then I can get rid of it. This one I don't feel bad about letting go of, but I do probably have to buy a new one. I think there's only lip stuff left. This is all the lip products that I have. I do have a nude lip liner, but I can't for the life of me figure out where it is. I think I've either lost it or misplaced it, which is really annoying. So I've been kind of using this NARS as sort of a lip liner. So the lipsticks here have an expiration date of 18 months, so I will be keeping these. As you can see, I have actually used a fair bit of this lipstick because I don't have a ton. I do use the ones that I have quite a bit, and this is definitely one of my favorites. Well, it's difficult to have a favorite when you only have like 3 or 4. I am just gonna go through and just kind of, I like to do this. You get rid of, like, sometimes you get foundation on the lipstick here, just things, I suppose, and I like to just kind of wipe it off a little bit. I don't do this a lot. You do waste a little bit of lipstick, but that's fine. And then I also just get the right shape back because the lipsticks tend to misshape a little bit. So just wipe it a few times on a paper towel, and that way you just get like a nice clean finish on the lipstick again. So I like to do that. It's very sort of neutral with peach undertones, so I like that quite a lot, and I've used it as blush quite a lot as well, which can contribute to why I don't actually have a ton of it left. And then I have another Charlotte Tilbury lipstick, and this one is, as you can see, still used but not as much. I do have a little bit more left of this. It's much more of a nude lipstick, so it doesn't work quite as well as blush either, but I love this one as well. I need them both. I'm just gonna do this here, get that cleaned up a little bit, and you can probably see on the paper here as well that they do have different shades. And then I have this one. It's a Tom Ford lipstick. I started using this not too long ago. It still even has like the imprint on it, but just because it's such a strong lipstick, I have used this both as lipstick but also very gently as a blush. So I'm gonna keep this. I have this mini liquid lipstick from NARS, and this is the only red like proper lipstick that I do have, and I've used it. I think it even says on the bottom it has a 24-month expiration date. I kind of hate it. I will be getting rid of it. I've only used a handful of times, and it's a nice color, but it's not a nice texture to have on my lips, and I don't really love it. I'm getting rid of that one. And then I have this red lip liner. I've actually been using this more than this liquid lipstick. This is in Cherry. It's a MAC lip pencil. Not used a ton, but it's nice to have. And then I have 2 of these. They're kind of similar products. The NARS Velvet Matte lip pencil in Good Times, and it's a nice sort of darker nude shade. And I go through this one kind of more quickly than basic typical lipsticks, just because I have to sharpen it so much, so a lot of the product disappears that way. The same goes for this lip pencil right here. It's from Honest Beauty, and this one is a little bit, not a shade I wear a ton. It has a bit of a berry shade to it. It's that one right there. These two look similar, but this one is much more purpley and this one is much more brown. So even though all these lipsticks are kind of in the same family, they do serve different purposes, different looks. When I have so few products, I do kind of value that they are a little bit different, that I do have products that serve different purposes, or different shades, I should rather say. So for lip products, I'm only really getting rid of this NARS one, and then I will be keeping the rest here. Some of these I need to get rid of like come summertime, but for now I'll be keeping what I have. I just had to turn on a little bit of light because the natural light is already fading, but I think I'm pretty much through, and I'm just gonna clean out all of the things that, like everything that doesn't need to be here essentially, and also just clean it before I put in the makeup that I am keeping. So I'm just gonna go through this drawer and take out the things that I don't really need. I have some things here, like I have this color change thing. It's just a sponge that you can kind of wipe your brush on if you want to go from one eyeshadow color to another. So I have a few things like that, and like my magnetic lashes, and I'm just gonna clean the lash curler. I also have some nail polish that should not be in this drawer, and I have like a nail strengthener that I used to use before I found the OPI one. And I mean, look at this nail polish, so old. But that doesn't really need to be in this drawer, and clutter it up. And I'm just going to go through and clean and sanitize these. Same with like pencil sharpeners and a bunch of samples. Everything just kind of gets pushed into this drawer throughout the year, so it's really nice to have a declutter. And I just have like backup cotton buds and cotton pads because I just kind of refill these things. I just keep those on my vanity. It just looks a little bit nicer and it's a little bit easier to use than keeping them in these like plastic bags. It does really kind of add up throughout the year. So I need to clean now. So this is what the drawer looks like now. It's pretty empty. I still have quite a bit of the lip stuff left, but you can see I still have sort of skin here. I just have the blush in the cheek category, and then eyes and brows, and then obviously the eyeshadow, and then I just stuffed like the sanitizer spray here, extra cotton buds and things like that. It doesn't look the best, but it works. It's out of the way, so it's fine. I obviously need to replenish this a little bit, but I still want to keep things very minimal. Alright, it's already dark outside, but that's only because we get so little light this time of year. The declutter itself went by really quickly. It's definitely the fastest declutter I've ever done. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, as you can see, my makeup collection at the moment is a little bit sparse, so I will need to kind of replenish. Like, I really want to continue having a minimal makeup collection because I do enjoy it so much. For all the reasons I've talked about in this video and previous videos, I can't see myself going back to a larger makeup collection. I mean, I'll never say never, but for me it's just, life is a little bit better this way. is how I'll put it. But it's definitely not completely without challenge, as I talked about, even just like the bronzer and blush, like the cream powder situation. I feel like most things are made easier by having fewer things, but there are a few things that I need to like put a little bit more thought into when it comes to having as small a makeup collection as possible. I really need to kind of think through every purchase I make and not just, ooh, that's fun, I want to try it. So I will be adding those new pieces. Let me know if you want to see kind of like an updated makeup collection video of what I do add, what I end up with, because everything here is not just going to be replacements of the old pieces. Let me know, I can definitely do that. I just didn't want to kind of add it on to this video because it just gets to be too long. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you were decluttering along with me, I hope you had a good declutter. If you're not completely done yet, I do have previous decluttering videos, because I know I put on those kinds of videos in the background as well when I declutter, so I will link those if you want to have a look at them. That's all. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you very shortly.